Just after our show ended yesterday, news broke that the FCC had approved the merger of Paramount and Skydance Media, capping off a July that has been chock full of capitulation at CBS and their parent company, Paramount. The month started with Paramount agreeing to pay Donald Trump $16 million in an effort to settle his frivolous lawsuit against 60 Minutes for its interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris, followed by the news last week that the network is canceling The Late Show hosted by Stephen Colbert, which Trump has said he was happy to play a role in. Earlier in the week, after shaking down Paramount for $16 million, attorneys for Trump and the network agreed the lawsuit was over, clearing the way for Trump's handpicked FCC chairman to approve Skydance's acquisition of Paramount. The Trump administration's weaponization of the FCC, an organization which throughout its entire existence has been apolitical, kept the long-expected merger in peril, and has sent a chilling effect through the media world and the corporate world as it contends with this new Trumpian normal, as the Trump administration is intent on extracting power, influence, and money from mergers like this one. The lone dissenting voice at the FCC, Ana Gomez, who was appointed by President Joe Biden, issued a scathing rebuke of the merger, saying this, quote, "After months of cowardly capitulation to this administration, Paramount finally got what it wanted. Unfortunately, it is the American public who will ultimately pay the price for its actions," end quote. Joining our conversation is President of Media Matters for America, Angelo Carusone, and President of Brilliant Corners Research, MSNBC political analyst Cornell Belcher. Let me ask both of you your reaction to not just the approval of the merger, but where we are. I mean, South Park is also in this new merged entity. And we led the 5 o'clock with its satire of Donald Trump and its physical depictions of the things he's made clear or the things he's most insecure about. Where exactly are we, Angelo, right now?
I mean, we're at the beginning stages of a massive transformation of and a closure of and a reduction in civic spaces. And whether or not Trump and, Carr, who's the FCC chairman, and the rest of Project 2025's acolytes will be able to execute and fully implement that change is up to all of us. But we are at the beginning of that, and there are plenty of examples, one after the other, of, as Commissioner Gomez described it, cowardly capitulation. And, that trend isn't going away. It's only increasing. And on the flip side of that capitulation has been an increase in threats, not just from Commissioner Carr, but elsewhere, to leverage the power of government to, pressure business entities into caving or giving them what they want. I'll give one example before I turn it over to Cornell. The FTC recently approved a merger between 2 of the largest media buyers. And one of the conditions of that approval was that the media buyers would no longer remove ads or place advertisements based off of political or ideological considerations. I mean, that's an outrageous action for them to do, totally unprecedented. But they made it clear that if they wanted that deal to go through, no more saying you won't advertise on certain extremist kind of content. And that's one small example. So we're at the beginning of a larger change. And right now we see a lot of examples of it happening. Not a lot of backbone.
Cornell, what are your thoughts in this moment?
Well, I got to agree with Angelo. I can't look. I think he put it perfectly. So I'm going to go in a bit different direction. But first, I also want to point out the fact that, look, also in this deal, which stuck out to me was what they were bragging about was no DEI programs, right? So you have crony capitalism and corruption, but also always with a little taste of white nationalism thrown in to boot. But I want to go in a different direction in this, Nicole, because we talk about how the system is rigged, and I hear voters talk about a rigged system all the time and how it's hard for them to win in a rigged system. People, this is an example of the crony capitalism. This is an example of the rich and wealthy rigging the system and Donald Trump being a part of the rigging of that system. So I'm tired of talking about sort of how corrupt and bad these people are, because frankly, it's like saying, why are the foxes in the hen house eating the hens, right? At some point, you got to say, hey, hens, you got to stop empowering these foxes who are coming into the hen house and eating you, right? I hope we do have a movement now when you look at what's been happening in our government and just look at the level of corruption and how the system is being rigged. Like we've spent weeks talking about how, quite frankly, the big, beautiful bill is moving large, vast amounts of resources away from working class people towards the rich people. And this is just another example of how the system is rigged for the wealthy and the powerful and the well-connected. And at some point, the American people have to wake up and say no to the rigged system, because you, the American people, you really do have the power to at least put a hurdle in front of the rigging of the system that is undermining your democracy and undermining your economic opportunity.
What seems clear to me from the outside is that the brands that made this company valuable are the brands that seem to be cannibalized in doing the deal because the brands were valuable. I mean, the short-sightedness is what's stunning to me. I know nothing about business. I've never thrived in corporate America. I had a PR job for 10 minutes and I absolutely sucked at it. So I'm not saying that this doesn't make sense and I see something all these masters of the universe don't. But just as a consumer of media, it seems like an absolutely asinine strategy to completely destroy the 60 Minutes brand and completely destroy the late night brand as reflections of this insane media moment. And even if you're the frothiest, most, sort of psyched MAGA person, you don't think this moment's going to last forever. It's too weird even for them. So I wonder, Angela, what you think the long game is here.
I mean, there's your question makes me think about, whenever you watch a dystopian film or read a book that looks at dystopia, the media, the stuff that people consume, it's always monotone and gray. And that's what you just described is the process by which, yes, it is monotone and gray. That's not really their consideration. What their consideration is using that information ecosystem to get power. And also revenge. We're in the revenge stage right now, and that's the other part of this. So, yeah, that's the thing I don't understand, too, is that ultimately these are companies that have fiduciaries. They have responsibilities to create good content that gets the widest possible reach. And the decision they're making is extraordinarily short term, but it's also baking in a calculation and an assumption. And that's the thing that really scares me. Because they are making a business decision and they're saying, this is going to be the new norm. Our competitors, they're going to do the same thing. They are banking on the fact that their peers are also going to get rid of content, get rid of controversial programming, water down and dilute their programming, right? And I know, just like Jimmy Kimmel, they already say Trump is out there starting to go after Jimmy Kimmel next and they're making assumptions that their competitors are going to start to do similar things so that they're not really losing a competitive advantage. And as you point out with South Park, it's not going to be a one and done. It's not a light switch. It's a transition. There are going to be those flares and moments where internally people rally and push back, where there are opportunities to show and demonstrate. That doesn't mean there won't be consequences for it, but those are the things that we have to latch onto too. So that's it. It is an extraordinarily stupid business decision, assuming that the regular market is going to function. But the part that scares me is they're trying to change the marketplace too.
Yeah, I guess I think that there has to be an assumption that there's some underserved market. But if you're looking for that, there's tons of that. That market is flooded. It is flooded in the cable TV with Fox and all of their copycat networks. It's flooded in the podcast world. So I don't know what they think they're serving.